My week was okay. The big bummer obviously being the death of Norm Macdonald. He's my favorite comedian. It took me a while to realize that he was my favorite comedian because usually it comes like, you know, whatever comedian is the comedian of the moment. I sit with them for a while and try to figure out where I put them in my hierarchy. And for the longest time, Mitch Hedberg was at the top of my mountain there. And as Louis C.K. had his moment, I was a real big fan of his then. And then Bill Burr had his moment. He's still kind of having his moment, and I love Bill Burr. He's probably number two all time. But there was a period of time when I was really into Mike Birbiglia and some of these other random weirdo comics here and there, and those moments kind of come and go. But really, I realized that Norm has been like a mainstay pretty much since my childhood years when he was on SNL. Like, his old SNL bits still crack me up as much now as they did when I was a kid. And I loved his Weekend Update. I loved the Dirty Work movie when it came out. It was one of the first movies I saw when I came back to the States from Japan, from living in Japan. It was awesome. I can't remember. I don't know. Maybe the movie doesn't hold up quite as well now as it did back then. But I haven't watched it in a while. I should go back and watch it. But I remember liking it a whole lot. And a sitcom and all these other things that just, his comedy has never tapered off. It's always been super hilarious. Like, his last comedy album was amazing. It was fantastic. And even some of the stand-up stuff he was doing during the pandemic, I saw he uploaded a few of his stand-up routines that he was doing, I think in March of 2020. It was still just as funny. Like, he never really lost whatever made him hilarious. He just got a little bit older, and apparently he was doing it while, at least for the last 10 years or so, while battling cancer. He Chadwick Boseman that thing, didn't let anybody know he was dealing with it until just one day he's out. And it's as much a shock to me as the Chadwick Boseman thing. So it's a real big bummer. And, I spent the past few days, watching a bunch of his clips, the same as everybody else. And it's got me really thinking about comedy and whatnot. I still owe my friend a stand-up set. Lauren, she's been on the show a few times. We had a deal when I visited her in Seattle that whenever she got up on stage to do an open mic set, I would get up on stage to do an open mic set. And I have a notepad full of all this material I want to work out and whatnot from a long time ago. I don't even know if it's funny. I need to go back and revisit it, start writing new material. But she did it. She got up on stage, did some material, posted it on Instagram, and I was like, damn it, now I have to do it. So at some point, I actually am going to do it. I need to do it. I'm going to do it. But I was thinking about, I've been thinking more about, comedy and comedy writing and timing and storytelling and all that sort of stuff. When on my timeline this morning, all of a sudden, the ghoulish face of Jim Brewer popped up. And I had no idea why people were talking about Jim Brewer. I mean, I just saw his name trending, I think, and I was like, oh, whatever. But then when I actually looked into it, apparently he was on Tucker Carlson's show ranting about canceling shows. He had some shows for, I guess, a tour he's doing. Like, for starters, who the fuck is going to see Jim Brewer? But, people are going, I guess. And some venues that he was scheduled to perform at have vaccine mandates for people to get in. And he decided to cancel those shows for any venue that has a vaccine mandate. And I think a mask mandate too, but I'm not for certain. I'm about to find out. I saw that and I was like, oh brother. Because it's the opposite of like Patton Oswalt. Patton Oswalt went the other way. He canceled shows, I think, that don't have vaccine mandates or vaccine requirements. So now, even in the comedy world, you're seeing it kind of sift out. And it's kind of interesting because, there have always been you don't really typify them as left-wing comedians. They're just comedians. But there are more left-wing comedians, and then there are right-wing comedians. And I've talked at length with Justin about this, about what is it about right-wing comedy that is just so weird? It's so bizarre, and for the most part, nightmarishly unfunny. And I can't figure out for the life of me why right-wing comedy is so unfunny and why so many, like Norm Macdonald, and this is the thing about Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald was a right-winger, and he's Canadian, so I think maybe his brand of right-wingism is a little bit more polite than the kind of shit that we get up to down here. But, he's been in America long enough. He classifies. But, I mean, he's a right-winger. Not like a shy one, not a particularly shy one. He never worked it into his material, really. He wasn't a political comedian, but, he was a comedian that had a right-wing inclination. And, that's never like a deal breaker for me. So long as you're funny, then you're funny. And he was hilarious. So I can forgive him for his right-wing beliefs and certain things, just so long as, he was a good person. For all intents and purposes, it sounds like he was a fantastic person, just on a personal level. But also, he was just hilarious. But he's like the only one I can think of. Some people might say Nick DiPaolo. I don't know about that one. Colin Quinn, he has his moments, and I always like seeing him when he pops up in things, but I don't know. I want to watch what he was talking about, what Jim Brewer was going on about on Tucker Carlson show. I don't make a habit of watching Tucker Carlson at all. It's not my thing. It's not in my wheelhouse. But what the heck? Stop that. But in getting into a broader kind of discussion on right-wing comedy that I do plan on, I have some videos queued up. I want to at least start off here and see where this guy's coming from, and because maybe he has a good reason. Everybody makes these kinds of decisions based on their own assessment of the situations that they're in, their own value judgments, and you can't really bemoan anyone for making a decision like that. I mean, I guess it sucks for fans of Jim Brewer comedy that, if they were planning on going and now the show's canceled because the venue has a vaccine mandate, okay, I guess it sucks for them, but, they've got, if they're running around unvaccinated going into crowded theaters, they've got probably other things they should be worried about, but, whatever, to each their own, right? That's kind of the whole point of this kerfuffle. But, I want to at least hear what he has to say, what got people so upset, and why a guy that I forgot even existed started trending on Twitter. Just as a quick aside, he looks rough. I remember Jim Brewer, I guess maybe it's not a fair thing for me to say, considering the last time I saw him was like in Half-Baked, which was God knows how many years ago. Like, all of those dudes are significantly older than they were when Half-Baked came out. So I'm sure anyone who last saw me 20 some odd years ago and look at me now, 20 some odd years ago when I had a big fro and a full face of black hair. Actually, 20 years ago I was clean shaven more often than not, but I had the big rock sideburns. I was rocking the rock sideburns. So anybody who saw me then and then sees me now, I'm sure they would be just as shocked by the change of appearance. But, I mean, he doesn't look healthy.
But the principle remains. If you can force people to get the vaccine, what can't you do? That's a question that Jim Brewer appears to be thinking about. He's a comedian. He just announced he's not performing at any venue that requires patrons to be vaccinated. He joins us tonight to explain why.
He comes into this looking so rough, dude.
Interesting.
Does he know where he is?
It caught our attention. Why? Tell us. I'll be quiet as you explain why you did this.
Well, honestly, I got a lot of feedback from a couple venues that I was playing, and my fans were really upset. They said, I'm not comfortable with getting a COVID shot, and now they're saying I can't come see you perform unless I do that. And I looked into it, and that's the last thing you should be doing is going, hey, you want to come see like feeding the seal the fish. Hey, you wanna come see a concert?
Oh God, he did
the fit. Why would you do that? Why would you? I don't want
Is he
any
drunk?
of my fans forced to come laugh, and they got to get a shot in.
Forced to come laugh? Oh boy, I mean, yeah, I feel like. We'll get to that later.
And honestly, Tucker, I got to be honest with you. What really started my video was there's a new narrative And the new narrative is the unvaccinated are the beast. Kill the beast. This program goes on forever. Kill the beast. The beast is the unvaccinated. Kill them. And when our leader put that out there and pointed the finger like we're the demons, I'm not vaccinated. I had COVID. You're not going to tell me about my body. I know my body. I know my morals. I know my faith.
You know, like, I feel like God, is he the fish? Yeah, I think he might think that, you know, he's the delicious treat that people are being enticed with, which I don't think he should view himself in that capacity. You know, if he had come into this with a little bit more rationality in, like, his argument, just a little bit more, like, if he had just said, you know, I had COVID, you know, I may have antibodies, you know, and then just, like, say it like that, and, like, you know, other people might too, then you might be able to ingratiate at least some portion of the people that watch this who might not necessarily on the face of it agree with his assessment, but they might be willing to listen to that argument. You know, he had COVID, you know, he theoretically has some level of protection from natural antibodies, you know, maybe there's something to that. But, like, to start off with, like, you know, waving the note like, oh, it's a fish, and he's making seal noises and, like, wild gestures and shit, he seems like a raving fucking lunatic. An absolute lunatic. About, like, and okay, so he doesn't want to do shows for venues that, you know, have COVID requirements. That's fine. You know, he has the ability to do that. No one's forcing, and he talks about, like, they're being made to force to laugh, which I don't know what that means, but no one's forcing anyone to come to these venues, and no one's forcing him to work with these venues. Clearly, there are some number of venues that he's booked at that don't have COVID vaccine requirements. So, like, I'm not quite sure, beyond maybe booze and blow, why he is as worked up about this as he is.
Vaccinated, and they got COVID.
Yeah.
And they're both sick. So this is not about...
Okay, so now he just completely, like, whatever small little benefit of the doubt that I meted out to him, he just completely obliterated with that. So, the vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting sick. Let's just put that out there right now. The vaccine does not prevent you from getting sick. What the vaccine does is it dramatically reduces the severity of sickness that you get if you get sick. It can't help prevent you from getting sick, but in the event that you do get sick, it dramatically reduces the effects of that illness. So that where once you might have, you know, contracted pneumonia and had to get put on a ventilator, you now just have, like, an obnoxious cough and, you know, you feel a little under the weather for like a couple days. Like, there's a big difference between those two things, especially when you're talking at a time where you have hospitals all across the country that are, like, you know, bumping up against their capacity limits if they haven't superseded it already. And, you know, in some of these places, you know, you have people who need non-COVID procedures, non-COVID medical help that, you know, can't get ICU spaces. They aren't readily available because their ICU beds are at capacity from COVID victims, for COVID patients. The overwhelming majority of them, you know, at least 99%, are unvaccinated people. You can get sick with the vaccine, but it will keep you out of the hospital. You know, and keeping you out of the hospital is the whole point of it. It's the whole goal. No one ever said the goal of vaccine was, it's not a cure. That's what people need to learn about vaccines, is vaccines are not cures. There is no cure for COVID. You catch it, you got it. It's just a matter of whether you got it that's going to give you the sniffles and a cough and maybe a fever, or whether you got it and it's going to kill you, literally kill you, or at least put you in the hospital for a few weeks. Or, as in the case of the person that I was staying with during lockdowns, it made her sick for 3 weeks. Like, she was really bad for 3 weeks. It got to the point where I thought I was going to have to take her to the hospital. Luckily, it didn't get to that point, but it was still really rough. And she had long COVID. She had a lot of side effects to deal with after she recovered. She had tachycardia, where her heart rate would pump up randomly. She would smell things very strangely out of nowhere. Like, she thought she was having a stroke all the time. She would ask me if I smelled seaweed, or if I smelt toast, or if I smelt this or that. And I'd be like, no, I don't smell anything. And conversely, to her story, I at some point had COVID too. I don't know when, because this was at a point where I was just regularly getting tested for both the antigens and the antibodies, and at some point, I came up positive for the antibodies, like twice. I tested first and it came positive, and I tested the second time to make sure it came positive. So at some point I had it, and apparently it was only ever as bad to me as like regular seasonal allergies, because that's probably what I thought it was at the time. And you never know how this shit's gonna hit you. Like, being young and healthy and all that shit doesn't matter, because I'm not necessarily young, not healthy. I'm not a Joe Rogan dude. I don't lift weights or take creatine or any of that crazy shit. But, I got lucky with my dice roll. Some people don't. There are plenty of healthy people that, roll natural ones, and there's not much they can do about it, And the way that I see the vaccine is, if you get a chance to shoot loaded dice, use the loaded dice. Use the loaded dice to your favor. And if you end up getting COVID, why wouldn't you want those loaded dice on your side? So the vaccine is not a cure for COVID. It's not 100% protective of you to not get it. The purpose of it is so that if you do get it, you don't have to go to the hospital. Your life is not in danger. Like, at the very least, it means that these people that go to Jim Brewer's show can go to his show knowing that a worst case COVID scenario for them is just that they're going to be a little bit sick for a while, and not that they're going to die. You would think that someone would care enough for, like, the people that are willing to give such a hack their money. Like, what else is he going to do for money if these people fucking die out? Use the loaded... Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you use the loaded dice if you have the chance to do it, man? Like, fucking put the odds on your side.
Safety? Because if it was, you'd, just like you said and I said in my video, eat more fruit. Take care of your body. Go to the gym. I've been saying that forever. You would have thought I called people savages for doing that. But this is where we're at as society. And the greatest thing, I have to be honest with you, I'm so blessed because 95% of people, I was just saying it to be honest, Tucker, one message after the other was, thank you. Thank you for speaking up. Thank you. I feel terrible. I'm a fireman, and they want me to get vaccinated. I don't want to get vaccinated. My child, I know someone, my hand to God, and it was the last vaccine push. Their child, 5 years old, vaccinated, went paralyzed from the neck down, and I do a benefit for him every year. So when I hear,
what the fuck is he talking about? He can't be. If this is a truthful anecdote, and you always have to be suspicious when someone starts it with hand to God, but you can't be talking about a COVID vaccine because no one's given 5-year-olds COVID vaccines. Like, for starters, this is like the same kind of vaccine skepticism nonsense that started in the fucking Lululemon Facebook yoga mom community like 6 years ago and shit. Like, they're not going to give little Braylon the measles vaccine because then he's going to become autistic or he's going to get Bell's palsy or whatever stupid shit they think. And none of that shit's been borne out in any kind of, like, actual scientific investigation, any kind of study. But for whatever reason, because of social media and, like, the insular nature of how this sort of bullshit fake information gets sucked through that pipeline and into those environments and just circles around the same group of people. Like, they take that shit almost as gospel. So now you have Jim Brewer on a national news show. Why Tucker Carlson is still a national news show, I have no idea. But he's still spouting this same shit that, people were fighting against like 6-7 years ago. And honestly, ironically, back then, Ben Shapiro wrote an article for Town Hall where he was talking about how the vaccine skepticism, was coming from the left, and he was right, and how the psychotic nature of the left's anti-vaccine push was putting children in danger, and Ben Shapiro was being an advocate for vaccine mandates because, as he put it, your right to do what you want with your body stops at my child's right to live. Which, yeah, that's the whole point of vaccine mandates for your deadlier diseases. It's how we eliminated polio and smallpox and all that shit. But somehow, it's not a somehow. We know how. They flipped that all around. They became the Lululemon culture warriors, where they now espouse all of that same toxic nonsense, because it gives them clout as culture warriors, because that's the only thing that the right can grift on now. They've pushed the whole economic side of conservative ideology to its absolute limit. They can no longer sell people, or at least they can no longer sell a viable amount of people when you're talking about voters on tax cuts and deregulation and all that other sort of shit that used to be their bread and butter. People are wise to that game. That con is up. They've moved on now to just selling people strictly fucking culture war stuff. And in that move, they've adopted, especially, with regards to COVID, because you had a situation where the entire country had to deal with a pandemic, not just one or two isolated places, but all 50 states had to deal with a pandemic. And so it was okay, you have X amount of Democratic governors that have to deal with it and X amount of Republican governors that have to deal with it. They immediately used that as an opportunity to make a culture war argument against the kind of common sense, but necessarily government kind of actions that you have to do in order to actually fight a pandemic that, those Democratic governors and whatnot were doing. The Republicans made that a culture issue purposely, because that's the only place they have to go to in order to sell their message to people. So it's really disheartening that it sucks. It sucks that there was a period of time where Ben Shapiro was right. He was right on an issue, and and they just completely and unscrupulously abandoned that correct position for the most cynical purposes ever, and we're just still watching this shit play out. I was fighting against psycho, lunatic, hippie mom left-wingers back then on the same things, on the same vaccine arguments. I was fighting with those people back then, and I'm fighting those same fights now, but just, with the different contingent of lunatic. So, it's a little disheartening, to say the least.
People going, oh, you don't know that. No, you don't. You don't
Braylon
know
is a
what you're
warrior.
talking about. Explain that.
Yeah, I'm sure Braylon is a real tough warrior.
Mother. So thank God they're better now, but it took years. So I don't understand what's going on, like a lot of humans, and this isn't political, just like the other person said. This is good versus evil, and this is power versus the powerless, and it's the power of fear, but it is time for the power of the fearless. I'm sorry, but the fearless have to start rising.
Well, I
because
can see
we
the
know something's
fuck is he
wrong.
talking
I
about?
can see why your fans are grateful. I mean, here you are talking like an American man. Where are the rest of the American men? But I'm grateful that you've decided that you're going to speak your conscience in public and that it's still allowed.
Oh my
Jim Brewer,
God.
thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Tucker. God
Oh,
bless.
it's our honor.
What an embarrassing segment, dude. What an embarrassing segment. And then he has the temerity to end it on, where are the American men? Where are the men who will stand up and be fearless? It's oh my God, dude. Are you kidding me? So that's what I woke up to this morning. A really brisk reminder that Jim Brewer still exists. And I guess apparently people are paying money to watch him do stand-up. And again, I hadn't thought about Jim Brewer since literally Half-Baked. That was the last thing I saw Jim Brewer in, and then he just completely fell off my radar until right now. So the first thing I did when this became a thing was I was like, you know what? Let me see what this dude's all about. I want to see what Jim Brewer, what his comedy actually looks like. Oh, and that's what I guess the Freedom of Laughter tour. Oh, man. And so many of these guys, they just like, they can't help but like, just pat themselves on their own dick about their freedom. It's like, look, dude, no one's taking your freedom from you.
Enjoy this moment in time. I hope you did. To you, thank you. You're a beautiful person. Phone man, all of you. Love and laughter, man. Love and laughter. Come on. You gotta find a way to laugh. You gotta find a way to love.
Okay. Well, I moving on. Let's just go on to the next one. I mean, that was literally nothing. I don't know why he clipped that, but that was literally nothing. I mean, Live, Laugh, Love has as much, if not more, substance than that.
And this is another part of why I feel my life is so blessed. I grew up watching these people. I'm like the Forrest Gump of entertainment. I'm in the middle of my story and I'm going, it's Forrest Gump. You never know, one day, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know. It's every day different. One day you're just at a show, live stream, and phones are going off, people asking questions. Another day, you're right in front of Billy Joel with 2 martinis in you, talking about the night you had dinner with Brian Johnson of AC/DC, just like a box of chocolates.
You know what? I feel like this picture here of him like pointing at me and laughing is like him going, "Ha, I got you, motherfucker. Made you watch some really shitty comedy. Joke's on you. You wasted a minute of your life watching this." Like, and you know what? You're right, Jim Brewer. Joke is on me for this, for all of this. Brian Johnson called my house.
Brian Johnson, the AC/DC guy, calls the house. And my wife answered.
Only available for one more day. I gotta move on it, man. Why?
I'm just being honest with you.
I got vaccinated though, so I don't even know if I'm welcome at one of his shows.
The AC/DC guy calls the house. And my wife answered, and she thought it was a drunk pirate. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just being honest with you. She goes, he sounds like a drunk pirate. And he gets on the phone. He sounds like a drunk pirate. Jimmy, my son. I just want to let you know that AC/DC is playing New York City. Ooh, Mama, in 2 days. You ready? You ready? Are you ready? Fuck! But tomorrow night, hell no.
Whenever a stand-up comedian has to do like that weird poof into the mic thing, whenever a comedian has to do that, they're fucked. You know it. They're fucked. They've got nowhere else to go. they're out on the ledge, desperately grasping for anything that could make someone. It's literally like the stand-up comedian manifestation of that bit from the Louis C.K. show where you know Louis C.K. show, where he's talking to David Lynch and he's trying to convince David Lynch to like let him host the Late Show. And he's like on his last second to like convince him to let him audition or whatever. And the only thing Louis could do is just go like, you know. And of course, David Lynch hilariously responds with, "You just bought yourself a week." But that's literally the stand-up comedian equivalent to just going.
Having some dinner with me, and you bring your lassie. You wanna bring your lassie? Ooh, mama! Fire! Fire!
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, this is rough. This is rough stuff. Let me see if I can find something from a show that wasn't that. Maybe that was just a...
There is a new virus spreading amongst
the peoples. So there'll be some new regulations.
It's the same bit he's had since the 90s, the Brian Johnson thing. He did that in the 90s. Again, like, the only thing I really know this dude from is Half Baked. So this is kind of all new to me. I didn't know he was A, still alive, B, still in the entertainment game even, or C, was a stand-up comic. So, like, all of this is new to me.
And there'll be no outside walking unless we will determine you need some milk butter. And if you see anybody in the streets trying to get a muffin or a haircut, call the proper authorities so we can have them arrested for your safety.
I mean, there was literally nothing there. It was just like a generic Nazi fucking thing. Oh my god. I'm gonna give this guy one more shot here. Let me see if I can find some. It looks like he's only got like 2 shows that he has clips up from. Let me see if I can find. I'm gonna dig deep. What is this? Who said it's all over after 50? Me? I did? Okay, let's see what this is all about.
I'm 50, and I just turned 50 June 21st.
Really?
Yeah.
Happy
I mean,
birthday.
I would not have guessed it.
why, thank you. However, I will say this. I think 50 is the first age. At 20, you're like, yeah, you know, we're going to go skydiving. We're going to go backpacking in Belize for 3 months.
Sure.
We don't know what we're doing. 30s hit, you're like, yeah, we're going to settle down. We get a condo. I'm going to have a child. 40s, I'm coaching now.
Yeah.
Very exciting. We're getting involved. We found a local church. We're finding our faith.
Yeah. What happens at 50?
Oh, yeah.
50, that's the first stage where I went, I'm going to be dead.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim.
I'm 50.
Wait, what?
and I just
What?
50.
That wasn't comedy. That was just an existential crisis. What? I mean, for starters, he kind of, aside from literally outing his age by saying he's 50, he's also kind of outing his age by expressing the things he was up to when he was in his 20s and 30s. Definitely not something that any fucking millennial or Gen Z person will ever, be able to identify with. But, like, that's not a joke. It's just an existential crisis, dude. Yeah, you're inching ever closer towards the grave. We all are. If the fingernails are dirty, one can only imagine what else is dirty. Oh, no.
Well, on the show, I usually ask people for advice on.
Is that Thomas Middleditch?
The ladies, as I don't think I've got it down.
Why does he look? Wait, what was this? Like, because he looks approximately 30 years younger in this clip than he did. Like, he looked rough as shit on. This was last year, last July. Did he do that much aging in a year?
I think I'm also very picky. That's okay though, right?
You have to be
to be picky. Like, I saw a girl at the bar, and she.
Hey,
had
I'm
very
still
dirty
alive.
fingernails.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
If the fingernails are dirty, God knows what else is dirty.
Exactly. Her nails look like, I don't know if you remember the scene in Silence of the Lambs.
Belly button must have stunk. Good God.
Probably did.
Yeah, who needs to check anything else? Just check the belly button. I'm out. Wednesday night pig fighting? Like, what? Mud wrestling?
Who was mud
Thursdays?
wrestling? Maybe she was a mud wrestler.
Maybe.
Well, on the show, I usually ask people
boy.
for advice.
All right, that's enough of Jim Brewer for me. Like, I do want to watch it because I went down a little bit of a hole on conservative comedians and trying to figure out which ones outside of Norm Macdonald are actually worth a damn. And I came upon this list here. The funniest conservative comedians of all time. And I was like, okay, I want to go down this list and see how much of this I actually agree with. I don't know how much I will agree with, but I want to see at least who they have listed. So, of course, at the very top, they have Norm Macdonald. Absolutely, without a doubt. 79% of the people agree with that. Should be more. Tim Allen. I'm going to say something maybe a little controversial here. I don't like Tim Allen's stand-up, but because I'm a child of the 90s, I will always have a little bit of a soft spot for Tim Allen. There will always be some part of me that, is willing to accept him because of Home Improvement. I watched that when I was a kid. And because of Buzz Lightyear, of course, from Toy Story. And yes, because of the Santa Claus. I liked that movie as a kid. And I like those shitty, cheesy 90s Christmas movies. I love Jingle All the Way, too. You can crucify me for that if you want. Jingle All the Way is a great movie, and you're in denial if you don't believe that. And, also Galaxy Quest, great movies. All of those movies, and those came, when I was a kid and growing up through my a little bit more formative years. I like those movies. So for that, I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass, but no, I don't think he's number 2. I think this is probably just people who, I think this list probably consists of people who, immediately come to mind as they're scrounging their memory for comedians that might also be conservative. Like Jeff Foxworthy. I would imagine that Jeff Foxworthy should have probably ranked above Tim Allen, but maybe it's just the recency thing, because Tim Allen did have that TV show where he basically just spent the entire half hour ragging on millennials. So maybe that's what earned him his number 2 cred. The funny thing is, like, Norm Macdonald here at number 1, like I said earlier, he isn't a political comedian. Like, he doesn't really have any bits about politics. He's just a naturally funny dude who just has a lot of evergreen comedy, So for that reason, probably for that reason alone is why I hold him in such high regard. If he did political comedy, it would probably suck, honestly. Bill Engvall. I don't know, man. I sometimes he's funny. He's all right, I guess. I could see how people would like Bill Engvall. He reminds me of a dude I used to work with. And it makes sense that he's from Galveston, Texas in that regard. He has a lot of the voice is similar, and he has a lot of the facial expression kind of things that dude used to do. He's just not that funny to me. So, but he's definitely an acquired taste. He's like a Jeff Foxworthy kind of guy. I can't remember if he's a catchphrase guy too, right? Isn't he the dude that goes, "There's your sign," or something like that? I think that's him. Let me find out. Bill Engvall. Yeah, his signature, "Here's your sign." All of these dudes in this group, they all have like some kind of weird shtick, Jeff Foxworthy's "You Might Be a Redneck." Larry the Cable Guy's "Get Her Done." Even though I guess that guy isn't really like a redneck, he's like some kind of actor from Chicago or something who just put on a redneck spiel for the bit. I don't think Ron White has a catchphrase. Maybe he does. I just don't remember. Oh, Rodney Dangerfield. I didn't know he wasn't conservative, but I gotta tell you, I'm gonna upvote that. I gotta tell you, I'm not terribly surprised. Rodney Dangerfield is one of my favorites as well, and it makes perfect sense because he's a lot like Norm Macdonald, and not just like the quality of his jokes, but a little bit, not exactly, but a little bit of like the delivery of it too. Like Norm Macdonald was almost like, or Rodney Dangerfield was almost like a proto Norm Macdonald in that regard. Like, especially if you watch some of Norm's late show appearances when he's talking to Conan O'Brien, he'll tell a lot of jokes, and his roast, actually more famously his roast of Bob Saget, where he just tells all of these really archaic, dated Bob Hope style jokes where, just the manner in which he commits to the bombing is the joke in and of itself. It's a great delivery on his part, but a lot of those kind of old-timey jokes, talking about his wife as the old ball and chain and shit, it is so much like Rodney Dangerfield that, I guess by the transitive properties of Norm Macdonald, I am too a giant fan of Rodney Dangerfield. But there was like a month ago or so, maybe a couple months ago, I forget why I started watching it, but I got onto like a Rodney Dangerfield kick where I would just go down these YouTube compilations of like this one actually, Rodney Dangerfield at the top of his game, and it was fantastic. We'll just watch some of this.
Last week I was in rough shape, I mean, last week I bought a whirlpool for my bath. So far I lost 3 of my best ships. Okay, last week nothing went right. I bought a waterbed. There were 2 Cuban guys swimming in it looking for Florida.
All right.
Hey, people are nuts, My dentist, too, another beauty of my dentist, he found a new way to hide his bad breath. He holds up his arms. I tell you, there's wise guys. Well, I checked in a hotel. I asked the bellhop to handle my bag. He started to feel up my wife.
Rodney Dangerfield was also famous for the wife bits. It's like a special breed of misogynistic comedy.
My wife. He said everybody. I tell my wife I can never relax, I told her our kid is spoiled. She told me a lot of kids smell that way. She's a lousy cook, too. She can't cook at all. I leave dental floss in the kitchen, the roaches hang themselves. My wife, she don't go for me either. I'm not a good-looking guy. Well, Halloween, I open the front door, kids give me candy. Are you kidding? I know I'm ugly. My dog found out we look alike. He killed himself.
Good Lord. There's a lot of suicide, his jokes.
Kid, too. My old man took me to the zoo. The guy at the gate thanked him for returning me. And I was a very ugly kid. Every time my old man wanted sex, my mother showed him my picture. I was a very ugly kid. In my sandbox, the cat kept covering me up all the time, Well, when I was a kid, nobody was nice. I was 6 years old. I found out there's no such thing as Alpo baby food.
All right, that's fucked up.
And nobody was nice. My mother never breastfed me. She told me she liked me as a friend.
All right, that's weird. Do these have any... Okay, there, I was saying, does this have any of his Johnny Carson appearances? I guess this was the end of his set on Carson.
Good to see you, whatever.
Okay, how you doing, all right?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
I've seen you for a while.
I've been around.
Yeah.
I've been keeping busy, running around a little bit. Yeah, I'll be back in New York tomorrow at my club for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I'll be in the Riviera Hotel July 31st for a week. Then I'm going out to Green Bay, Wisconsin, to Carlton West. I'll be over there. Yeah. And Wisconsin.
You're busy.
It's nice out there, Yeah. You come from Nebraska. It's nice. Right. Midwest is nice.
You like the Midwest, huh?
Yeah, I wish I came Midwest sometimes, Midwest, I lived in a nice, small, adjusted town, I had a wooden frame house with a screen door in the back of the kitchen. My brother and sister were Marianne and Biff. And Dad was vice president of the bank, worked there for 30 years, very adjusted man, Dad, never smokes, drinks, or gambles, Then you read about these guys. One day they pick up an axe and wipe out the whole family, Yeah, the next day the cops come around. What happened here? What kind of man was he? He was a quiet man.
Yep. Comedians were making those jokes 40, 50 years ago, too.
Plug my album, a new album, I know respect. So it's
going well, is it?
It's going real good. It's on the charts, a bullet, whatever that means, And do you hold up the backside, too, of the album?
Yes, I don't know if
you show the back? Yeah, that's a cute little thing there.
Now you can understand about no
Can you
respect.
see that? I got no respect here in California either, I'll tell you that.
Really?
I got stuck the other day, I wanted to go sightseeing. They took me on a tour of all the extras' houses. But that's on, definitely, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's get
gain weight back, Johnny. You know what I mean?
Let's get back to the list. Rodney Dangerfield's a classic. Upvote. Well, it already upvoted. Okay. Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler's a right winger? That's news to me. Let me look this up. Does Adam Sandler support Donald Trump? Oh no. Vince Vaughn I knew about, but Adam Sandler. All right, Fox, don't get rowdy on me. Yeah, I knew about Caitlyn, knew about Sylvester Stallone, knew about Vince Vaughn. Adam Sandler, what the fuck? Shut up. A spokeswoman for Sandler told the Wall Street Journal the iconic comedy star doesn't like politics. That's the vibe I get from him. However, he's been registered with the Republican Party in the past and even performed at the Republican National Convention in 2004. He has donated $2,100 to former New York mayors usually on his 2008 campaign. That doesn't mean much. I mean, it means he may have been Republican aligned, back in 2004 and 2008, but I don't know where he stands on the Trump thing. I mean, that's a bummer. I guess he was at some point, Melissa Joan Hart, that's not surprising. I guess at some point he must have been right aligned. As far as comedians, like Uncut Gems, Adam Sandler. You know what? I haven't seen Uncut Gems yet. Have you seen that? Like, I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, but for whatever reason, I guess I have no interest. Adam Sandler is a great dramatic actor, and everybody recognizes that from him, because, I guess he used to have a pattern where he would do a couple of his dumb movies, like Little Nicky and Click, and then he would do something dramatic and be really good at it, and then he'd do, a few more of his really dumb movies and then do something dramatic. So yeah, he's a good actor. Probably a better actor than comedian, I would say. I don't necessarily find him funny, but Uncut Gems is fucking amazing. Okay, well, I guess maybe his brother-in-law was running for office. Who's his brother-in-law? I got to admit, and it's on the YouTube page. Every Halloween, Justin and I do a movie, a horror-themed movie. And last year we did Hubie Halloween, the Adam Sandler Halloween movie on Netflix. And I admit it that I kind of liked that movie. I liked it, and it made me laugh at a few different points in it. So, maybe I can't be too hard on old Adam Sandler. He's another person, if he is a right-winger, then his politics doesn't necessarily spill into his comedy, not in any overt way. I don't know if I'd put him as a comedian that high on this list, but, is Adam Sandler better than Rodney Dangerfield? No. Is he better than Bill Engvall, Jeff Foxworthy, or Tim Allen? Probably. I mean, that says more about those three than it does about Sandler, I think. Bob Hope. Before much of my time, honestly, despite the fact that I did go to the elementary school named after him on a military base, I'm not super familiar with Bob Hope as a comedian. Dennis Miller. Oof. Dennis Miller, he had a hot moment in the 90s, but in the more recent years, he has just been a really sad case. He tried to hitch his wagon to Bill O'Reilly right when Bill O'Reilly started to really fall off, and he would make appearances on his show that were just the least funny things in the world. And actually, I think he actually went on a comedy tour with Bill O'Reilly for some reason. I don't think Bill O'Reilly was doing stand-up, but let me see if that's up here. Bill O'Reilly, Dennis Miller tour. Yeah, these dudes went on tour.
Bill O'Reilly.
Joy and Woody walk off the set. Here's what I was thinking.
Listen to the music.
Bill O'Reilly. O'Reilly.
Joy and Whoopi walk off the set. Here's what I was thinking. What do I have to do to get the other three to walk off?
And Dennis Miller.
Seen the Rolling Stones lately? Keith looks like an old wallet that mumbles.
The godfather of no spin and in-your-face television, with the king of references and rants.
Don't Be a Pinhead Tour, Saturday, April 11th. That's Santa
Oh
Ana
my
Star
God,
Center.
dude.
Tickets at SantaAnaStarCenter.com, the box office, or by phone.
Oh my God. I have a lot of secondhand embarrassment right now from that. Just let's watch that one more time.
Bill O'Reilly.
Joy and
I mean, okay, just right there. Like, popping up Bill O'Reilly with like a jaunty little guitar ditty is absurd. It is beyond absurd. Did they know they were on tour together? Like, yeah, they were buddies. They promoted it. Like, they were all about this shit. Like,
O'Reilly.
Joy and Whoopi walk off.
see, he's like
Here's what
he's workshopping his stand-up routine right now. Like Bill O'Reilly, I don't know if Bill O'Reilly knew that like his Fox career was coming to an end, and he thought, well, maybe in the back nine of my life I could well, probably really more back four. Maybe I could parlay my notoriety and my proximity to Dennis Miller into a series of political comedy tours. And I don't know, man. Look at these people. Look, I mean, are these actual people or are these cardboard cutouts used to make it look like he has a packed stadium for this promo? I think these are people. And if they are, then, there's a lot of people.
I was thinking. What do I have to do to get the other three to walk off?
And Dennis Miller.
Seen the Rolling Stones lately? Keith looks like an old wallet that...
Listen to that sad sack delivery. You listen to the Rolling Stones? Keith looks like a sad sack wallet. I'm sad.
Mumbles.
The godfather
He's
of no...
he's literally talking about mumbling. Keith.
The godfather
He's
of
talking
no...
about him mumbling
The
while he's
godfather of
mumbling.
Keith looks like an old wallet that mumbles.
The godfather of no spin and in-your-face television, with the king of references and rants.
The king of references. Oh man, is that what he is? I guess. I mean that's what made him. That's what made him popular all those years ago. Like Dennis Miller was on a hot streak in the '90s, and a part of what made him popular, I think he definitely kind of fits with like the boomer contingent now, but I think he was a lot more aligned with like the Gen X kind of nihilistic, sort of anti-authoritarianism or anti-authority slash, that Gen X not really caring kind of quality. Like, I think he fit in with that in like the 90s and then kind of progressed from there into just being a full-blown get off my lawn boomer.
All right, I've been getting a lot of mail. Where's Miller? And I sent out a...
He looks rough, by the way.
to find him, and
How old is Bill O'Reilly? How old is this dude? He's got to be pushing 80, if not like mid 80. 72? Oh, he looks bad for 72. I mean, 72 is still old. Like, just look at this face and recognize that he's younger than a good deal of our currently serving senators. This is the face of a young buck on the floor of the United States Senate.
All right,
I don't think I'm gonna last the whole
Guy Friday.
12 minutes.
Anyway, you can find
Oh
him
my
on
God.
Apple Podcasts, Google,
His video
Westwood,
sucks,
Podcast,
dude.
every
Is he on
podcast.
dial-up?
If you want to see him live, he's going to be in Connecticut at Foxwoods on April 26th. Then the next day up in Medford, Massachusetts.
Bill got more laughs.
Out of
Yeah, he
Boston
did.
on
He really
27th,
did get
and
more laughs than
in Austin,
Dennis
Texas
Miller.
on May 1st. So here he is, live from Santa Barbara, California, the podcast king, Dennis Miller. So you got a Guy Friday. I guess you've always wanted that, Robinson Crusoe, correct?
Well, for years I played your Guy Friday, but now I see you've gone into a more avuncular quasi-retired state where you're wearing Dinty Moore lumberjack shirts.
I know.
But I remember a day when
Dinty Moore.
you had that perfect.
Oh, I like that reference.
Astride the cable news world like a latter-day Colossus of Rhodes.
And nobody will ever match it, by the way. But I never referred to you as my guy Friday. I mean, you were equal footing with me. I mean, I gotta have a talk with this Christian Blatt guy. Okay, now I asked Miller. I said, the Green New Deal is sweeping the I'm sure
is he on a Nokia? Yeah, I know, dude. Like,
but I want the
where is he broadcasting out of that? He's got that shitty a video.
I want Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to hear the Miller New Deal.
Oh, no.
Well, first off, Bill, I would say they're obviously laying claim to FDR's lineage, right? And I was thinking,
oh, no
if
shit,
FDR
buddy.
was alive today, after he'd put 120,000 Sino-Americans or Japanese-Americans, into internment camp. Plus, you mixed in the fact that they would call him a hack industrialist today. It's so funny to me that FDR would be considered at this point by people like AOC and Cory Booker and Kamala Harris to be some sort of hack moderate
Cory Booker
industrialist. The villagers in Frankenstein would be after him with torches too. So that's funny to me that they would use classic FDR terminology. Listen, I would only list one extra coda.
This guy is a fucking fool.
The New Green Deal. And that would be that I would have to use some sort of meat thermometer to catch a little heat coming off Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's head off her brain before I took anything she said seriously. Because right now, I think that is a flatline electroencephalograph. I think she parrots exactly what she thinks young people want to hear. I don't think she makes any sense. And listen, the way they do it, Bill, it's so funny to me. They use fancy jargon, but in some point they are advocating that we go into the agricultural community and moderate some of the CO2 discharges there. And then also that we...
Did this video come out when people were talking about like fucking cow farts and shit? April 2019. Yeah, this must have been out around the same time that Fox News was hyperventilating about like, oh, they're gonna tell her not to eat cows and all that kind of dumb shit. Jesus Christ. That's rough. That's rough. I'm downvoting Dennis Miller hard. He's way low on this list. Nick DiPaolo. There was a period of time where Nick DiPaolo, where I thought he was kind of funny. I can't remember when. He used to float around in the same circles as Jim Norton and Patrice O'Neill and those guys. And I like those guys. They're pretty good comedians. They're funny. The classics, new classics, I would say. Nick DiPaolo kind of disappeared from that though. And I remember a few months back, I was trying to figure out where he was. It was because of Greg Gutfeld. Fox took another stab at doing a comedy show, and I'll watch a video on that too. They created another comedy show. They did one way back in like 2005 or 2006. Actually, it must have been 2007 or 8, where they wanted to have a right-wing comedy show to compete against The Daily Show. So they created the half-hour news hour or something like that, a half-hour comedy show or whatever. And it was one of the worst things in the world that I could recall. And they got out of the comedy business until a few months ago when they decided to give Greg Gutfeld his show, Gutfield, with the exclamation point. And I started watching some of that, and I remember thinking to myself, if they really want like a right-wing comedy show, why don't they get an actual right-wing comedian? So I started looking up like comedians that I knew were right-wing that would, probably be okay with doing a political show, and Nick DiPaolo was one of them. And I just let me see if this guy is even still funny, because he kind of disappeared from the mainstream. And I looked up some of his more recent stuff, and there were a couple of funny things here and there, but really, honestly, all he's really kind of devolved into is like angry right-wing podcaster who yells about cancel culture. Like, that's really the only thing he does at this point, and it's kind of sad because I remember he used to be kind of funny, but now he's just like, garden variety angry pissant, which is pretty disappointing. So where does that stack him on this list? Beneath Ron White, I'll tell you that much. I like Ron White. If he is a conservative, then he's definitely more of like the libertarian bin, because he really just doesn't seem like he gives a fuck too much about, anything. And I appreciate that. He had a really funny bit about, everyone's a little gay, which is true. And it's a very non-conservative kind of message to point out to your largely conservative audience, since he was on tour with Foxworthy at Ingville and the other dude, Larry the Cable Guy. Getting into a room full of patrons of that craft and telling them all that they're a little gay for wanting a dick or wanting hard dicks in their porn. That's ballsy. You got some balls on you, He's kind of funny. I like Ron White. I would definitely rank him above Nick DiPaolo and above Dennis Miller. Bob Hope's a question mark to me. I'm just not familiar. And I'd probably put him above Adam Sandler, too. Yeah, I don't think Ron cares about much, at least in his comedy. Yeah, I get that sense, too. And maybe a part of that is the fact that he's always boozed up on stage. Even in this picture, he's got a little glass of booze on him. Maybe that does a lot to take a lot of that edge off. But whatever the case may be. Bernie Mac! Wait, Bernie Mac was conservative? Oh, I have to verify this one for sure. Oh man, that's news to me. Steve Harvey I could see as conservative, but Bernie Mac. Oh, that's what turned. Chicago. Mac married a sweetheart. Career. I loved Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac is awesome. Like I didn't expect to see him on this list, so he automatically rockets to number 2 behind Norm Macdonald. Yeah, I didn't see anything in there about that. What? Obama camp on defensive after salty Bernie Mac riff? What the fuck does that mean? Hold on, I gotta see this. Senator Barack Obama's campaign. Okay, this was July 2008, so this was before he became president. Senator Barack Obama's campaign condemned salty language used Friday evening by comedian and actor Bernie Mac, who introduced the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee at a Chicago fundraiser. Okay, so, I guess he was at least campaigning with then Senator Obama. The incident came at the end of a day when Obama and Republican John McCain both campaigned in Midwest states, with Obama talking about energy in Ohio and McCain discussing women's issues in a Wisconsin visit. Mac, speaking to about 600 donors at a Chicago hotel, joked that he did not understand why Obama would want to run for president. I'm proud of him because politics is dirty, especially with Republicans, he said. People like rumors. They're going to say things like, he was he was in the club with Lil Kim and Kanye West got in a fist fight. The comic also offered himself as a running mate, but then added that the campaign might not want him because I cuss, which he did. Being a president is tough. You're not just running the country. You got to run your family too, Mac said. Having a black first lady is different. You're still going to have to do the dishes and the laundry and all that. You got to pick up the kids. You didn't pick up the kids? At one point, a heckler protested and asked Mac to step down after an irreverent riff with crude jokes. Well, that's what I'm here for. What's the riff with the jokes? When Obama came on, he thanked several people, including my great friend, one of the King's Comedy, Bernie Mac. Wait, what? Spokesperson Jen Psaki, she was with the Obama campaign back then. How old is she? She looks right now like she's just like in her late 20s. Like, is she that young or that old? Later, Jesus, I want to know what he said. Obama camped to Bernie Mac. We are not abused. Well, what did he say? Because if it's just this shit, then that's nothing. That's super light. Yeah, that's super light shit. Imagine being offended by this. 2008 was definitely a different time. We are all grizzled old veterans now. Would never have guessed Bernie Mac. Maybe it was all the salty language. I mean, it doesn't sound like Bernie Mac was a Republican, or at least not here. It seems like he campaigned with Obama in 2008. I'm not sure about that. When did he die? I can't remember when he died. Oh, 2008. So that was just a short while. That was just a short while before his death. Damn. Well, I mean, I guess some of the last stuff he did before he died. Damn, he didn't even get to see the first black president then. Yeah, I guess some of the last stuff he did before he died was campaign for Obama. So I'm not sure why he's on this list, but him being on this list, in my view, he's automatically number 2. Larry the Cable Guy, I don't think we need to get into that dude. Hey, my vote moved him to 13. And it bumped David Spade up to 12. David Spade, is he? I feel like this list is just kind of putting people out there now. I don't know if David Spade is even particularly conservative. I don't get that vibe from him at least. He's notoriously private. Yeah, he keeps his politics to himself for certain. So, like, again, he's kind of the same same mind as Norm Macdonald, where if he is, conservative, it just doesn't get into like his comedy or any of his other things. Lights Out specifically strayed away from Trump fatigue. He wasn't going to make politically related jokes around. Yeah. I think he wasn't a big fan of Trump. Hot Water for his comments on he told him, a president should have a little more dignity. I realize Woodrow Wilson while Dancing with the Stars won. Yeah, okay, so like he just kind of razzing him. I don't really know if that makes him conservative or not. On this list of comedians, David Spade. We all had so much hope in 2008. Yeah, for certain. The Spade camp thanks you. I bumped him up. I gave him a little bit of cred. I could vote him down, and maybe that'll put Larry the Cable Guy back on top. I don't know. I don't know what I think about David Spade. Like, so much of David Spade in my brain is tied to Chris Farley. I didn't watch Joe Dirt, and maybe that's what people are basing this off of, Joe Dirt. I did watch some of that Late Show that I was just reading about there. I watched a couple of episodes and it was all right. I think it's on Netflix. I watched the cast of Cobra Kai come out on there, and something else. He's okay. I don't know if I want to upvote him or downvote him. I think he's fine where he's at on this list at least. Well, do I think David Spade's better than Ron White? No. Nick DiPaolo? I'll probably say about even. Dennis Miller, he's better than Dennis Miller. Bob Hope is a question mark. Is he better than Adam Sandler? Like, they're both alumni of the same class there of SNL. Yes. But he's not better than Rodney Dangerfield. He is better than these three, though. So then he's probably number 4 then, behind Norm Macdonald, Bernie Mac, and Rodney Dangerfield. I'll leave him at 12. The Spade camp can rest easy knowing that he just got a promotion, and the threat of a demotion is Steven Crowder. Fuck that guy. He's not a comedian at all. And the doctors that saved his life should be arrested. Patrice O'Neal. Oh, he's great. I love Patrice O'Neal. He automatically gets an upvote. He's up in that top echelon for me. And it's a shame that he passed away when he did. Went too young, I guess. Joan Rivers, upvote on that. She's a classic. Sam Kinison, I'm not familiar with that dude. Adam Carolla, man, you know what? I used to like Adam Carolla many, many, many years ago. I think coming off of Loveline, I think I never really listened to Loveline. I didn't give a shit about, you know, people calling Dr. Drew with their fucking sex problems. But there was a period of time when I think it must have been, I don't know if it was the Man Show, because I didn't really watch the Man Show. It must have been maybe around that time or after it. I just started catching him on certain things here and there, and I thought he was pretty funny. But then he turned into a huge shitbag, like an absolutely insufferable shitbag, and an unfunny one at that. Like, again, I can forgive a lot if you're funny, so he's not. I'll downvote him. Colin Quinn, he's a classic. Not really. He never really struck me as funny, but he never struck me as unfunny. He's just kind of like that amusing dude who might be like, you know, a Mitt Romney supporter. Hey, he usurped Adam Carolla, so I'll agree with him on that. Tim Dillon, I don't know who that is. Greg Gutfeld is one of the least funny people imaginable. Yes, he should go down. He should definitely be beneath Ray Romano. I actually like Ray Romano's stand-up. I think he's pretty decent. I did like his shows too. Rob Schneider, you know, every time Rob Schneider pisses me off with something, he amuses me with something else. He's like an even wash for me. Like, sometimes he's funny, sometimes he's the opposite of funny. So I'll just leave him where he is. Jay Leno. I want you guys, I'm going to expose you guys to one of my unironically favorite movies.
What do you get when a Japanese special agent comes to Detroit?
I talk some Jap. Toyota, Mitsubishi, Kawasaki, Teriyaki.
To team up with a wisecracking city.
Just starting your trailer off with a heaping helping of just pure raw racism. Very ballsy, Collision Course. Very ballsy.
Cop.
Yeah, I don't think we need quite as much firepower, fellas. Let the people through, will you?
Hot on the trail of murder and corruption.
Yes, that is Jay Leno as a cop.
Revolutionary new turbocharger.
That is Jay Leno as a police officer opposite of the Karate Kid's Pat Morita in one of the craziest racist movies I've seen in a while.
On the trail of murder and corruption.
You see, Oshima stole revolutionary new turbocharger.
You got proof of this? You just make it up as you go along.
No. I see guilty look in Jared eye.
Guilty looking eye. Well, with that kind of hard evidence, we should get a conviction overnight.
Collision Course.
Police officer, criminal!
The funniest. Wackiest.
Just my luck, I get the only guy from Japan that doesn't know karate.
Buddy comedy. To crash onto the screen.
We'll make him nervous. Maybe he'll do something stupid, run a red light, spit out the window, then I can fry his ass.
Fry his ass? Very severe punishment for just spit out the window.
Yeah, well, you're in America now, pal.
Jay Leno.
Jesus Christ.
And Pat Morita.
What a commentary on like fucking the over policing of America, you know, circa 1989 even. Like, it's a pretty severe punishment for just spitting out the window. Yeah, welcome to America. It's like, Jesus Christ. And this was before, like, or I guess before those kinds of commentary on our police state became more prevalent outside of the black community, at least.
Yeah, well, you're in America now, pal.
Jay Leno. And Pat Morita.
Hey, with the monkeys.
Two lawmen as different as hot dogs and sushi, trying to steal back the revolutionary new engine that's driving the Motor City crazy. Collision Course.
That's a movie that exists, people. Pat Morita, Jay Leno, buddy cop movie from 1989, Collision Course. Find it, watch it. Actually, I think it was up there on YouTube for free, which isn't surprising. I despise Jay Leno for a variety of reasons. And I want to vote him down for all of those reasons. But because Collision Course exists, I'm going to leave him neutral. He's right where he is. Ralphie May, I was never a big fan of his, to be perfectly honest. Jeff Dunham, I hate that dude. Sam Hyde, don't know. Rita Runder, don't know. Chevy Chase is a classic. He is an American classic. As much of a shitbag, an absolute shitbag as he is, and it is well documented that Chevy Chase is a huge piece of shit. Come on, man. Fletch, Three Amigos, I'm giving it up to him. And I'm going to stop there because we're starting to get into territories where I'm not really familiar. Like, Louis Anderson, I only know him from Life with Louie as a kid. I don't really know much about Louis Anderson. I know he's on one of those FX shows. I forget which one. And he's got a lot of accolades on that, too. I think he plays a trans person on that show. But I just really don't know anything about him. Same with James Gregory. I don't like Anthony Jeselnik at all. He's kind of like a poor man's Daniel Tosh. No idea what Soph is. Gavin McInnes. Why is Gavin McInnes on here? Okay, you see, now we're getting into the area of the list where it's just like they ran out of comedians, so they're just kind of pulling names from wherever they can to put them up here. Oh, yes, and I mentioned this before, the half-hour news hour. Fox's Take. Back in 2006, I believe. This was updated, actually 2007, I guess. Fox News decided they wanted to go head-to-head with Jon Stewart in The Daily Show, so they put together their own comedy, comedy half-hour. I guess because they couldn't come up with a name for it, so they called it the half-hour news hour, and subjected its unsuspecting viewers to stuff like this.
And now, the half-hour news hour with Kurt McNally and Jennifer Lang.
Welcome to the half-hour news hour, the show that delivers an hour's worth of news in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. I'm Kurt McNally.
And I'm Jennifer Lang.
Tonight's top story, dispelling reports that she would staff her White House with longtime cronies and political appointees. Presidential candidate Hillary Clinton vowed that if she becomes president, she will surround herself with a diverse, multi-ethnic, multi-generational group of angry lesbians. There are reports that Fred Thompson's portrayal of a racist character on TV in the 80s could hurt his chances of being elected president today, particularly among voters unable to distinguish between television and real life. Small group of people. Here with a half-hour news hour follow-up, we take you now to our very own Hank Allen in Greensburg, Kansas, for an update on last week's tornado. Can you hear us, Hank?
Loud and clear, Kurt. Hey, Jen.
Oh, there you are.
Hank, what are the conditions on the ground there?
Well, as you can see, last week's tornado has moved on, and now comes the hard part, figuring out how to blame this tragedy on President Bush.
Right.
It's literally the same jokes that Greg Gutfeld was doing. Great stream, man. Jumping off. Catch up soon. Hey, take it easy, man. Thanks for tuning in. But Greg Gutfeld had the exact same bit on his show where it was like it was supposed to be a mock CNN, and the only thing that they did was blame everything on Trump. You know, it's literally the same joke. They recycled the same thing.
You're a liberal Democrat, a committed feminist, and you know that America is ready for a woman president. But you're not sure that Hillary Clinton is that woman. You're anxious, conflicted. Maybe you're having trouble sleeping, or you're experiencing mood swings. You want a woman to be president so badly that even Rosie O'Donnell is starting to make sense. If these symptoms sound familiar, you could be suffering from HAS, Hillary ambivalence syndrome, an anxiety disorder that affects up to 1 in 3 Democrats. Which is why we developed OxyClinton.
Instead of Bibles, a hotel in California is now placing a copy of Al Gore's global warming book, An Inconvenient Truth, in every room. According to research, it's the only thing hotel guests won't steal.
Hi, I'm Dennis Prager, lover of fine Americana.
Oh, God, fuck you,
The day
dude.
America finally calls it quits in Iraq will be a day we'll all want to remember, and now you can. Thanks to the Road to Surrender commemorative plate series by the Frankfurt Mint.
That was a big talking point amongst the right, is the whole cut and run. And I don't know why I did the thing from Full House. I forget that character's name, but he used to do cut it out. I don't know why I just did it for cut and run, but I guess it works there too. But yeah, they used to talk up cut and run Democrats all the time, and they want to surrender to the enemy. They just want to surrender to the enemy. It's funny how you don't hear quite that much of that after our Afghanistan withdrawal, especially considering that like damn near 70% of the country agrees that we needed to get out of Afghanistan. But yeah, back then the talk of the day was if you don't want to commit to psycho nightmare wars of nothingness, then you just wanted to surrender to the
Road
enemy.
to Surrender series is a magnificent collection of beautifully illustrated, signed, and numbered, hand-fired plates, elegantly commemorating each step on America's road to humiliating defeat in Iraq.
O.J. Simpson has decided not to sue the owner of a Kentucky restaurant who refused to serve him last week. However, he hasn't ruled out murdering the guy.
That was the one legitimate joke that they had. The one joke. You know what? We should just bounce on that note. Like, let's give them the dignity of leaving on a high note.